like, damn, they heard me talking shit and sent me that shit in the mail. I know it. PBS NewsHour was calling me out personally. I know. That's cool.
I don't know why you was denying, Herschel. I don't know why you was denying the truth.
It's the FBI trying to take you out, man.
Yeah, shit is cold-blooded. Yo, so guys, it's been about a month since we've chopped it up a little bit here. I'm excited to be back.
RTBTH.
Gotta feed the streets.
Yeah.
The first thing that I think we need to talk about that Tunde, you've kind of been putting off. You threw this in the group chat, and you've been having us fucking on pins and needles waiting to figure out what this new nickname for Ehi is supposed to be. Can you please enlighten us and the listeners today?
Well, yeah. So let's talk about Ehi's other nicknames. First of all, he's the instigator. That was his very first podcast nickname, which basically just means Ehi's willing to turn up the heat on some shit. You know, he instigates
all day.
And then his next nickname was the investigator. Well, actually, that one is not supposed to be me, but the investigator.
Nah, he can be that. Yeah, looking into some shit that nobody else wants him to look into. Yeah,
because he definitely does have an MD PhD. My bad, Ehi, I'm sorry. If you're doing a clinical fellowship, it's not a postdoc. Just so we're clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're
a
doctor, you're not doing
that.
research.
Hey, you're not doing no investigating that shit no more, though, right?
No, I'm not investigating nothing. Well, I do investigations, but for businesses.
I feel you. Okay, here it is.
Sold
Here
out.
it is.
So
Ehi is the Nigerian Michael Burry.
Okay, who is Michael Burry? I don't know who Michael Burry is.
Michael Burry is the dude Christian Bale played in The Big Short.
Oh, the dude
like
who was like mildly autistic. Yeah. What?
Well, that is
My man
not
was in sweatpants in the fucking hedge
That's the
fund
first thing
making
you
millions.
think of. That's the first thing
Yes.
you think of.
Yes.
Yes.
Michael Burry
Eccentric.
was a hedge fund manager, and he's definitely been sliding some of the stock tips. You know what I'm saying? We've been getting to that discussion in the group chat, which I appreciate. But Michael Burry is also an MD.
Yeah, that's true, man.
Yeah.
It's
So
true. He's a doctor. He decided to quit and go make some money in the stock market.
right. So yeah, Ehi, Nigerian Michael Burry. The only things that you got to get rid of one eye.
Wait a minute. This dude only has one eye?
Yeah, he has one of his eyes. Y'all ain't seen The Big Short?
I seen the movie,
saw
but
it,
he
but I
didn't
don't
have
remember.
one eye in the movie, did he?
Yes, he did. Yes,
All
he
right,
did.
maybe. I remember Christian Bale with both his eyes. I don't
for
know.
some reason,
Go watch The Big Short.
I mean, he
Please
must
go.
have had like a glass eye. Or
Yeah, he
something?
did. But there was a scene where he had like taken it out. They had
shit.
My bad.
they
Really?
had acted him taking it out. Yeah,
Oh damn! I don't remember that. I watched the movie. I loved it, but yeah.
but it's probably been a while though. That movie came out a while ago.
Yeah,
Yo, I want to.
2008?
Speaking of
2010,
talk shit,
something
right?
like that.
Yeah,
up?
something like that. Speaking of stock shit, right? So we've also been talking about like this mass psychosis shit that's been going on around, like, I mean, basically for the past probably 10 years or so, with just meme culture. I love it. It's amazing. But like the power of this shit is fascinating and terrifying.
Yeah, yeah. Well, actually, sorry to cut you off, Herschel, but I just wanted to keep going with the stock shit. Mr. Burry, Mr. Nigerian Michael Burry, sir. Can you give us the rundown? And Herschel, I think you were going in this direction, so definitely chime in. And you don't have to get super technical, but I know you know this shit, and you explained it to me on the phone the other day nicely. Yo, what's really good with this GameStop shit? Like the stock part.
So when I first heard, yeah. Man,
Tell us your take. Tell us your take.
So what I remember is like when I first heard about GameStop and that it was going up, I was like, GameStop? I was in GameStop last week and that shit was dry as fuck. Like there was no business going on in that place. And I was like, so this is clearly a pump and dump, right? And this is, so for people who don't know, so in the stock market, there's a lot of people who their job is just to day trade. They make money off of movements in the stock market. That's all they do. And so sometimes these guys, they have a ton of money, some of them, and they just like start buying up a stock and just push the price up. So they keep bidding it up and the price goes up and up and up. And then people who don't know shit, who are just like idiots, or they think they're going to beat the system, they start buying in too. And as soon as it gets to like the super high number, they just sell off all their stock, and then everybody else is left holding the bag, and the stock plummets, and that's how they make money. And so you see these things happen all the time. Like if there's any kind of like news that a company they might have great earnings, people will just start pumping the stock. And so I was like, oh, so people are all buying this, and I've seen it on the news, is like the stock is going up, it's going up. I'm like, this is crazy, man. If I was somebody, I would just short it. So shorting is basically you borrow the shares and then you sell them off. And then you expect that they'll drop, so that when you buy them back, it'll be cheaper than when you sold it. So then you keep the difference. Because, if you think it's just being pumped up, it's just hot air, it's just going to crash back down.
Yeah.
And so I was like,
in my eyes,
just short it.
In my eyes, it's basically a reverse, like you're purchasing on the reverse idea of the stock appreciating.
Yeah,
so you're
exactly.
basically like gaining off of the stock depreciating. That's the bet you're making.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. You're betting that it goes down.
So with the way you just set it up, and this is the first, I mean, we've all been fucking indulging in stock news in the last fucking 5 days or whatever. But basically, I like the way you set it up because you're saying that not only was there like, because initially they were trying to short the stock in the first place, right? All these hedge funds. I don't think people, I mean, I guess the branding and messaging became, oh yeah, we're going to take down the hedge funds or whatever. But that's some stupid shit, right? That was definitely like, you're not going to affect these billionaires or whomever. Like you're just not going to touch their pockets. It really doesn't matter. But they were initially planning to short the stock when, as you were saying, people started buying it up super cheap, building it up to almost short it a second time. I mean, if you were smart, you would have, I guess, shorted it a second time, knowing the business model is going to fail. I mean, this shit's trash, right?
Yeah, GameStop is over with. And so the thing was that the reason why, so in the grand scheme of things, I didn't realize this because I didn't look into it, right? I wasn't like investing because I was like, who gives a fuck about GameStop? Yeah, I'm not, dealing with that. But what happened was essentially all these hedge funds had decided that this company was going to go under, right? They're like, GameStop is like, 2 feet from the grave. And so what they've done is like all of them just piled in and did all these short sells. So exactly like I said, they're expecting the stock to go down. So basically you have to take a loan. The thing about these shorts is that you can lose a lot of money because you have to take a loan, right? Because you're borrowing these shares. You don't want to own them. So somebody who has the stock, who thinks it might go up, will lend you the shares and say, hey, just give me back my shares at the end of the day at some point in the future, right? And then but you're saying, hey, look, I'm going to borrow them from you, but then sell them off in the market. So I keep the entire money that you can sell those shares for, but you have a loan, right? So you have to give those shares back at some point. The problem is if the shares go up a lot, then you could lose an infinite amount of money.
Yeah, it's the reverse. It's the reverse of a long bet, in the sense that you can have endless gains, and you can only lose how much you put in.
Exactly, but it's a reverse in shorting. So
right, exactly.
You can only make as much money as you bought the share or you borrowed the shares for, right? Because as soon as the stock goes to zero, you just get to keep. If you bought one share and shorted it, you borrowed it and sold it off for $100. The most you can get is $100, right? Because if the stock goes to zero, you keep all 100. The guy doesn't get a share back because the company is dissolved. Yep. But with the long, you can keep. It's infinite. But that's the problem, is that if the stock goes up, it could go up to $1 million a share, and then you have to pay, 900,000, 900, whatever, right? You have to pay that. So that's the thing, is that the losses are unlimited. So that's why the hedge funds got worried. But what happened was that all of them thought that the GameStop was going to go down to zero. So they're like, we'll just clean up and get this little money real quick. They're going to go bankrupt. We'll keep the cash. But then what happened was that they were borrowing more shares than were actually available. So shares that had been already shorted once were being shorted multiple times. So the problem is that in order for you to be able to recoup all of your shares, to be able to sell them back, like let's say it goes up some like $10 a share, you want to sell out and get rid of those shorts you have. So you have to buy them back from the market. So if you're going to buy back 1.6 times the total number of shares available, it's going to take you a really long time. You have to buy a lot of shares, and that's going to keep pushing the price up and up and up. And that's called a short squeeze. And so when you're short squeezed, it's very difficult for you to actually keep from going bankrupt, because the stock keeps going up and you have to buy in the market, and that pushes the price up even more. So your losses just keep going up, 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 up. And that's what happened to the hedge funds. because all of these Reddit guys were like, hey, look, it's going to take them forever to be able to get those shorts covered, right? When you cover is when you actually get this, when you buy back the shares and you return them to whoever lent them to you. And they're like, it's going to take them forever to get these shares back. So they're like, well, fuck these guys. If all of us just start buying these shares and push the price up, it's going to take them forever, and it's going to squeeze the price even higher. The price is going to shoot up through the sky, and then we're just going to make an insane amount of money, and we don't even have to buy that many shares. That's the thing. Most of the buying is being done by the hedge funds because they have to buy back the shares. And that's when you buy, it pushes up the price because you have to, you have to compete with everyone else who's trying to buy. So the bids just go higher and higher. Mm-hmm. And so that's the crazy thing. And so basically they saw that was going to happen, and it worked. But the problem with it is that it's collusion, man, and I don't like it.
Oh,
so the hedge fund,
yes.
I don't like it on either side, right? The hedge funds do this shit all the time. Like there's instances, like it's legal for them to do it in some instances, right? There's a lot of laws that just let them skirt and basically collude. Like they have so much money that they can move the market so much easier than any one person. But
the original GME YOLO dudes, they were just copying it because they thought the company was, the stock was undervalued. Those original ones. So
I didn't know that they thought it was undervalued.
Nah. Also, yeah, I definitely don't think the shit was undervalued.
It starts on Reddit. It probably was like 1 or 2, 3 dudes, but there's a guy. I mean, I think his YouTube is called Roaring Kitty, and I think they're trying to claim that he's the first one. I mean, I don't know how people know these things. It could be him or could not be him, but like there's like this thing that he was claiming. It was like GME YOLO. Like he was just like throwing everything in the GME, and it was like you only live once.
But these are pump and dumpers, yo. These are pump and dumpers. They pump out all this like positive news, try to get the stock to juice up, and then they want to sell at the end.
Yeah, I feel like that was probably, basically propaganda because they started doing the shit and just getting the ball rolling with other, quote unquote meme stocks of businesses that were clearly about to fail, AMC, fucking BlackBerry and shit like that. Shit that we already know is not going to succeed.
But some of those.
Go ahead.
No, some of those stocks were like they were bought on mistake. Like there's another company that has a similar stock ticker, and then people just assume that it's like the other stock ticker. And so like companies who have nothing to do with any of the positive news get boosted up just because people are idiots and they don't actually know which company they're buying. And so I think for like AMC or BlackBerry, which one of them, it was because of that reason. Like there was some company with a similar name.
I think that did happen with BlackBerry, but
yeah.
I think AMC was definitely one of the ones where they were like, all right, this one's up next. They're trying to short this. Saying the hedge funds or whatever, and then people on Reddit trying to get behind it. But again, it spikes for a day and then immediately shoots back down. But that point about like the double shorting is very interesting. So could it almost be, I don't know, you're mentioning infinite losses. Could it be multiple times shorted like that? Like just, if I guess there's a parabolum of like up and down.
So think about it like this. So a company has like a limited amount of shares that are in the market. So let's just say GameStop had 1 million shares in the market they're constantly being traded. So some people own them, they're selling them, whatever. So the thing is that if somebody wanted to short 1 million shares, you could, right? Because there's people who own the shares and they're going to let you borrow them. And so then you can borrow them and sell them into the market. So you can have borrowed all of the shares that are outstanding and sold and shorted them, right? And somebody else could do the same thing. There's nothing stopping them because if you borrow them and sell them, they could be on the other side doing the same shit you're doing. And then they can also borrow them and sell them. And so if everybody keeps doing that, you can see how you can short the stock more than the total number of times the stock is available, right? And so that is like an exponential effect, right? So in order for you to cover, you have to get it from somebody else, and they want to cover. And so the price boosting just keeps going up and up and up. And so that's why you're not supposed to do that.
It almost sounds like a Ponzi scheme. I mean, we've talked about multi-level marketing here on RTBTH before. We've talked about all types of different scams.
It's not like that.
I understand. So I understand that investments in general are a bit of a gamble, right? We're always kind of gambling with our bread. But this sounds nefarious almost. Like I get that it's not. I get that it's illegal. But
you know what? I would like to say something. There's so much to talk about, but let me set the stage for the podcast. This podcast is, a current events pod. It's entitled "What a Time to Be Alive" because we're seeing some shit, man. A lot of crazy shit's going on. But one thing that I think is an undercurrent of all these events is like this social contagion, man. Herschel, I think you were getting to
Yes.
this with some of the psychosis stuff that we were talking about. We can get into that, but see, one thing I find interesting is that I think shorting is absolutely necessary, because to me the stock market is like a compass for like basically human evolution. I know this sounds crazy, but like we evolve because we innovate. At least at this level, with the cerebral cortex being evolved as it is, like we evolve by innovation. We create things and we make life better, and the stock market kind of tells us that, it tells us what's happening in the economy, but it tells us what's happening socially, and so that's why we invest.
Anything, right?
Exactly.
Because the only reason why you pay for anything is because it brings value, it improves something.
Absolutely.
Right? You want to buy because
Absolutely.
you need it. Exactly. So yeah.
So that's why people make investments. But part of that, and this is the complexity of humans. I love these conversations because it's always so like human. Like all these things are so like part of the human experience. But part of being innovative and finding value and evolving is weeding out the bullshit. And that's what shorters do. That's what shorting does.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
it's
feel
like-
you there. I feel you. And I can see how it's basically predatory in that way. But like, a predator and prey relationship is not necessarily a bad thing for evolution. It's bad for like whoever got ate, whoever bought GameStop thinking they were going to get rich, and whoever like ran GameStop into the ground. Fuck all them people, and fuck GameStop, because y'all have been fucking up for years. I'm going to use this opportunity to get this off my chest, trying to sell back games and shit for like pennies on the dollar. That's some bullshit. Y'all
that was always
every
a horrible
bad thing that's
business
happening to y'all.
model to just hoard
it
games.
used to be all right. I mean, it used to be okay at a
heyday,
time when, but that was the only way you could get
They're
games,
like the Blockbuster.
physical
They're
games.
like the Blockbuster.
Yeah. Now
Yeah.
everything, not even
They're
everything,
obsolete.
but it's available on download. And even if you don't get it on download,
Everything is available on
Walmart,
download.
Amazon.
Everything.
I mean, yeah. But for people who still want the physical game, Walmart and Amazon are going to beat you on the price every single time, and they're going to, for the most part, be more readily available to you. But
Amazon could probably deliver that shit faster than you could actually find a GameStop.
Yes, pretty much. I think I did that with like Madden 18 or some shit.
Man,
Speaking
fuck
of,
dude.
I don't want to transition away from this too much because I do want to talk about this
We
mass
definitely got to
psychosis
get into
shit,
some
bruh.
Super Bowl shit.
But your man's Jeff Bezos stepped down since we mentioned Amazon. So now there's the opportunity for
Bruh,
one of us to create the next
I'ma
new
tell you
billion-dollar business.
I'm gonna tell you what, man. I think the astronomical growth of Amazon is over in terms of the exponential. If you look at their stock and valuation, it's been going up pretty much exponentially for the last couple of years, right? It's like doubling, tripling in short amounts of time. I think that kind of growth is done just because the competition has showed up. Like Walmart is really stepping up with their e-commerce. There's a lot of Chinese players. Amazon isn't able to really make that growth like it was before. And so I think now that Jeff Bezos has done his bit, he's like, yeah, I don't think it's going to be like, and plus he's rich as shit. He doesn't give a fuck, right? And so he's like, yeah, let somebody else do the grind work of like, now that the exponential growth is done, like all of the easy plays have been, cleaned up. Let somebody else come out here. That's my perspective, But,
All right, so Nigerian Michael Burry, what should we be throwing all our whole life savings into?
I don't think you should.
Nah, I'm just playing. Don't. Yeah, you're not we have to say on this podcast, we are not financial advisors. We are not certified in shit,
and I'm not a gambler
except for
either.
our specific scientific levels of study. But I know we were talking about some psilocybin and psychedelic research, and I am going to be looking into some of the companies that Tunde you pointed out to me. Fucking MindMed.
Yeah.
MindMed. Okay, yeah. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Actually, I don't want to because.
All right, that's fine. Yeah, it's a little secret. All right, insider trading. All right, cool.
Because the practitioners, and I've heard, I haven't been in that many conversations. I'm starting to wet my feet, man. I'm telling y'all, 2 years, I'm gonna be that nigga, man, for real. Niggas. Anyway, I'm not even gonna. But
nah, do it. Talk that talk. Yeah.
No, you guys know what I'm talking about. I'm not gonna say too much about it, but I'm excited for this future of my clinical training. But people on the are the practitioners who have trained or who are involved with the community are not super big on publicly traded companies being trying to influence the field of psychedelic medicines. It's very sort of anti-psychedelic or trippy, like this sort of, I mean, obviously they're profit oriented companies, and that's like not very in alignment with like the healing nature of the medicine. So I'm not down on that. I'm not, and I do think there's a place for pharmaceutical innovation and development, but at the end of the day, they are like a full course meal in psychotherapy. It's not just it's not just the chemical. So I think, the sort of publicly traded stock orientation is so that's why I don't want to comment on it, because RTBTH is a very influential podcast, and who knows.
Right. Yeah, we don't want the NSA agents listening to this to come seek us out.
Yeah. Okay. All right, fellas. Look, we put it off. I wanted to do the podcast for a minute, but we need to talk about January 6th. Is that cool?
Yo, yes. All right. So to give the listeners a little bit of insight, we're actually a full month out from this, and I still think about it sometimes. Like, yeah, it feels like years ago. It feels like forever ago, but it's only been 4 weeks, right? Yeah. And we were talking about this a little earlier, and it kind of touches on this same mass psychosis we've seen with people buying in on the fucking Reddit stocks and shit like that. And we've seen the same thing kind of happening over and over across different levels of society, that I really think is just kind of a fascinating mob mentality that's just been manifesting.
Yeah. Well, see, actually, I just looked it up real quick, but
okay.
To me, I don't know if I said this already, but I think the underlying current for a lot of these things is this social contagion. Is just like this, like just like a virus. It spreads. It spreads through contact with other people. The spread of emotions or thoughts or feelings or fears. I'm just looking up the definition on the APA's dictionary website, but the trippy part now is that social contagion can happen on the internet, and the internet can amplify it. And if you're talking Facebook, freaking Facebook is going to be the downfall of our fucking country, man. It's crazy, but it's just like, yeah. Well, going back to the insurrection, I think that's what people have called it nowadays. This shit is so fucking trippy, man. And I just gotta, say something about being the child of immigrants. Like, I don't know how to say this, but like the thing about Trump is that he was never actually a tyrant. He was never actually like this dictatorial type dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, Pablo Picasso blew up a plane out the sky. He stormed the Capitol,
Escobar.
Pablo Picasso?
Did I say Picasso? Oh my God.
That would have been lit, man. He made an artwork of that. I'm like, whoa, that's amazing. But I got you. Yeah.
So it's just like when like take Nigeria, for example. I mean, they had some issues last year. People were getting shot and killed. You know what I'm saying? So when you see this, you're just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what kind of country is this?
Yo, so you just mentioned when you're talking about social contagion, right? Like people sharing fear and emotion and shit like that. What do you think about like how we as a society or groups of people kind of, embody trauma? Like, what do you think about shared trauma? Because I feel like that's kind of starting to happen as well in terms of like whether it's some big event, whether it's Kobe dying and the whole nation just kind of feels morose for like a week or two, or just any event that again is amplified by the internet, which I also think is crazy because we've had these feelings or we've had mob mentalities well before the internet happening. Obviously, it happens way faster, way more frequently with Facebook algorithms and shit throwing people together. But how do you? And I just want that distinction between trauma and just like your general fears and emotions and happiness or whatever.
So I have an idea on this. Like I said, I have all these random ideas because I always try to think about how all this shit is working. And a lot of times I have to fall back on evolution. And I think that society undergoes evolution just like biology and biological beings undergo evolution, especially when it's something that's so complex where there's a lot of pressures. It forces change, right? There's a lot of different environmental things that are impacting our society, technology, the environment in terms of diseases. I was watching there's like a short mini series on HBO on John Adams, like the second president of the United States. It's actually really good. But one of the main things that I noticed when I was watching that is like they depicted life as it was back in like the late 1700s, early 1800s, and life fucking sucked back then. It fucking sucked. I was like, holy shit, dude. I would fucking kill myself if I had to go back then.
But that's only because you know society today. If you live back then, you'd be like, yo, this shit is great. It's lit.
Yeah, it's better than 1400, man.
Better than it's ever been. Yeah, hell yeah.
Exactly. But that's what I'm saying. And along with the technology changes is the way that people behaved, right? And interacted with each other. There's been a lot of change and a lot of, I guess it's progress. And so I think even though that we're dealing with all this, I mean, Bill Maher was saying this shit yesterday. We watched the show. He was saying like, oh, the society, things are so bad. Facebook, people can't communicate with each other in person. There's all these like extreme ideas. I'm like, yes, that's fair. That's true. But I think this is all going to be worked out. There's always these selective sweeps across evolution.
And by worked out, you mean extinction, right?
But
that's your hot take? That's what I'm hearing,
extinction of ideas and philosophies, right? Because that's what it is in society, is the way of approaching, life as it is. And so there's some ideas that are held dear from the past or they're coming up, and they're going to have to be tested and validated against reality, right? And so, Facebook and all these technological things, AI, whatever, they're going to have to be tested and validated against reality. And so the ones that make it, whether or not they're good or bad, like, morally speaking, are going to be tested. And, if it survives, it survives. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I don't really think anyone can affect that unless they go and like exterminate all the people who believe in something, which is how people took care of things like that back in the day, right? You start a war and you go and clean all that shit up, right? Kill all of them, or make sure that they're afraid to espouse those ideas in public. And so, since we're not going to do that, these things are going to spread through the society and it'll work itself out. I feel like, people get really scared and worried, but I mean, it's been like this for years. It's getting much better too. So we should keep that in mind. Life is actually much better than it was back then.
So I feel you there, especially on the takes of like social evolution. And when you talk about war or just like genocide and shit like that, I see that as social revolution, this shit that's happening really fast and can get out of control and shit like that. But another element that I think is so fascinating about the internet age is like all these things, all these comments and just back and forth, or even fucking text messages and shit where you don't have an immediate response from somebody when you do something or say something or send some shit. There's still like a learning curve, an evolution of, I should or should not behave like this on the internet because there are or are not repercussions, right? And again, with the internet, it's so very easy to turn those fucking repercussions off. If you don't believe in cancel culture, or if your job or whatever you do or are doing has nothing, like you can't be canceled because you're just fucking, I don't know, a mechanic or whatever, just talking shit on the internet. You're not like in a position of power, right?
You can.
I mean, you can.
It's spreading.
I mean, you can be canceled for different
down.
things. No, that's the thing though. It's dependent on whatever your status in life is. I mean, bruh, Trump didn't get canceled. Don't get that shit twisted. Sure, he got impeached twice and he got elected out of office. I guess that's canceled, but like he won. All the bad shit, all the toxicity, all the negative stuff, all the tweets, he got away with all that shit. He did it.
This is true.
Yeah,
I be thinking that a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, think about how his life has to go now after this, where he's going to be shunned from the business.
That man's 72 years old. He lived his life. He did it.
No, of course. No, but what he cares about though is the success of him, his family. That's why.
Right, Herschel. You were just talking about this the other day.
He doesn't give a fuck really about himself in the grand scheme. I mean, he cares about himself, but it's really about the Trump establishment,
the legacy.
Yeah, the legacy. He wants to see that shit prosper and become the greatest. And if you take that away from him, it might as well have killed him. And so I think there's those kind of consequences for him that are going to be much more serious than, let's say, like he actually got, kicked out of office on an impeachment. It's, he got away with it in the sense of that. But the business community also has to account to a greater segment of the population, and they don't want to be dealing with him in that way anymore. And so, I don't think he's just going to be able to rebound off of this, especially after what happened on January 6th.
Right. I wouldn't put it, I'm not going to put him away just yet. I think that and also he has children. But as far as the exchange of ideas and how they propagate in an evolutionary manner, I would agree that it's probably going to die out with like the Trump sort of brand legacy. And I hear you, A, what you were saying earlier about like how we sort of work these things out. You know, one thing that came to mind is like these digital devices. And, you know, I mean, I'm certainly wary of like being too into them, too addicted and whatnot. But I'm just like, you know, I think we're just going to have to figure out what makes sense for our health over time. And, you know, I think we're starting to make a bit of a step. Like there's some apps that are like, that'll sort of like tell you how you're using your phone and try to tell you to use breaks and stuff. But at the end of the day, having the devices is way better than not having the damn things.
Amen to that. Every day, I think the lucky stars that we have technology, man.
Yeah, and so it just sucks because I will say this to what you were saying, Ahi. First of all, you have to go through a storming period. You know, you have to go through a period where you're like really like throwing some shit on the wall, especially when you encounter something new like Facebook. I mean, I think long term, like we're just gonna have to reframe social media environments, but because Facebook to me is trash, you know, and maybe Facebook will be the one to evolve. But at the end of the day, having social media is a good thing. It's much better than not having it. You know,
so here's the thing though.
Itself, you know.
Okay. So you know what? You're right. Society will police itself.
Sorry to cut you off. This is the other thing. I think that we need leadership, and we're not quite getting it. Maybe with Biden, and it doesn't have to just be Biden. It has to be people like Zuckerberg and Bezos themselves, the people who have true power. And so I think what you were trying to get at is, Herschel, is that it's not actually just going to work itself out. We need leadership. And typically, I would say in a democratic society, we'll find a way. But the last couple of years have really sort of made it seem like, oh, shit, we might be on the way down.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I was basically going to make that point and say, you know, again, just discussing evolution, it's about adaptation, right? And my question is still just like, are we going to learn from the mistakes, whether it's at that highest level, like you're mentioning, Tunde, or your everyday person? It's going to have to be like, you know, movements or public health research studies or shit like that for moms to be like mothers against texting instead of mothers against drunk driving, or mothers against, you know, using your phone too much and shit like that, to really get, you know, the next generation to learn from the mistakes of the previous. I think shit's happening too fast for that to happen. I think the Facebook boat has already left. People are already off Facebook, but the next big thing, Instagram, is still cooking up all the conspiracy theories and misinformation that you could possibly ever want to have. And after that is Reddit. And after that, there's some other new shit that's coming, whether that's TikTok or, you know, just something that's entertaining, right? Because we also have to admit, all this crazy shit, all the psychosis, all the mass mob mentality, all the headlines, we love that shit. It's so entertaining. We want more. It's boring without it. You know, I love that Joe Biden is boring, but I'm bored. I don't know what the fuck to do with my fucking extra time where I normally might check in on fucking Trump's Twitter in the morning just to be like, all right, what the fuck did he say last night? Who the fuck he roast to just start my morning off right? Just so I know, all right, did he set off the nukes or did he roast Nancy Pelosi? Like, what's really good?
Well, that's entertainment of the media. The media needs to go ahead and work itself out. But I will say,
we are a media society. This social media, this is socializing. Like, kids these days cannot come up without having an Instagram. It doesn't have to be popping. You don't have to be famous. People want to be famous, and we should talk about that fake famous documentary. I haven't watched it yet, but I would like a recap or
I want to hear about
shit
that
like
shit.
that. Yeah, I want to hear about it.
Cool.
But like that's society. Well, you know, we started with Big Brother on TV and shit like that, but now we're here.
Herschel, I 100% agree with you. That is society. And my only point is, because I agree with all the stuff you guys are saying, is that this is something that has been happening before and it's going to keep happening. Like you're saying that it's going fast. You make 2 points. You said, you know, there's societal evolution, societal revolution, and the societal adaptation, right? Those are points that you made, that you made. And I think society is going to evolve regardless of whatever, right? There may be revolutions, but it's up to the people to decide whether or not they're going to be able to adapt to society's changes. And that's where, you know, people who would never have been famous before are able to come up now because they're able to have access to, you know, social media and become viral, and they have those skills, right? Because those people are able to adapt to that new environment. It's the same in biology, where there's segments of the population who have genetically innate, you know, ability to survive in a particular environment. They may not do great before that climate comes along. They have that crazy drought, but once that drought hits, they take off and they become the dominant genetic background. And so we all are in that sort of in this situation, right? And so the environment that we're creating, the thing about humans is that not only are we, in the environment and being changed by the environment, but we're able to, as a group, create our own environment. And so, those things it's where the dynamic gets a little bit more complex, but it's the same thing at the very end of the day. We're all having to adapt to the environment. We as people can't evolve in our own life. Right? You can only adapt. Like evolution is more genetic basis, but the people who are successful in this environment are the ones that are going to be able to reproduce, and then the next generation will be more adapted to this sort of system, and they'll be able to teach their kids. And so this is how it's going to work. And I think it's going to keep happening no matter what we do.
I want to say, and I feel as if that we're having a bit of a recalibration to a certain extent. I appreciate the evolutionary biology references, Ehi. I think that we had a survival of the fittest type of situation. Like we're having these inflection points, and I have a hot take at the end of this quick blur, but the storm on the Capitol, I mean, okay, it was horrific. Thank God, none of the lawmakers died, and it actually wasn't like a more horrific than it was already. But I mean, it's starting to feel like reality is starting to come back. People are getting arrested. I mean, it was like a whole meme until, oh wait, these are real people with jobs and fucking
the FBI show up at your crib,
right? Like,
they come to your job and snatch you up.
Show up.
Yeah, yeah.
And so with their 99% conviction rate, bro, you really go to jail.
I feel they need to trump up the charges though. They can't just be like, what is it, like illegal trespass and all the shit that they're.
Bro, that still all carries jail time, man. You're not, or at least prison.
Bro, treason. That's what I want to see. Real talk.
Hangings.
But see, so we had, and one thing that's happening is like the exchange of ideas politically is like probably at an all-time high, probably in a bubble, right? Because social media is like really took off, and so I think that we had an inflection point on the right. And here's the hot take. We're going to have an inflection point on the left, and we're going to have no idea what it is.
It's already happening. I know exactly what it is.
What is it?
I complain about every day. Well, the lady talking about how Bernie Sanders is exhibiting white privilege for wearing mittens and a jacket in the cold. White male privilege.
Yeah. But see, the thing is, that happens all the time on the internet. The insurrection doesn't happen every day. And I'm saying we're going to have something like that. I don't know what it is. I'm not saying it's an insurrection. And I can almost kind of already see where it's going. And I might have to scratch this out the podcast because we definitely are about to get dragged. But this...
Man, fuck the fucking social justice warriors.
Tell us where you think it's about to go. Tell us where you think that shit's about to go.
They really... do not like, this is where they super go off, but I'll try to keep it short because I really think it's too sensitive. But the idea that we can let people who are non-binary compete specifically in sports, but it could be in business and other parts of life, in whatever gender I suppose that they decide, I think is going to really hurt women. And it already has. I swear to God, this is a true story. I was tutoring someone in statistics, a couple years, maybe a year and a half ago. She was doing her master's and I'd taken a couple stats courses. So I was helping her out, Stats can be like one of the hardest classes for a lot of people to just finish out their degree. So I was helping her out. She's in a flag football league and a non-binary person joined. And she said she hated it. She said she hated it because it was just not the same game. It was a completely different sport. I'm just like, that fucking sucks. You know what I'm saying? Like, but anyway, so there's going to be an inflection point on the left, and it's going to be very ugly.
So I feel you there. I think that and we're seeing it in my field as well, where like a lot of times it started to happen racially first, where like a lot of stuff would be compared to your control group, and it would be white mainly because that's the largest population. Now, as you break, kind of unaggregate down to different levels, whether it's, non-Hispanic, this, this, Pacific Islander, Black, et cetera, a lot of times papers or research studies would say other rather than, being super specific. They're also doing it now with sex, where it's not just male, female, it's male, female, transgender, non-binary, et cetera, right?
I think that's cool.
But
I think all that's cool.
Yeah, it's
That's
fine
great.
for the most part. The issue comes into play when you're not able to generate any real statistical, research knowledge because the population size is so small. And when we start to make policy around, I think the issue, and I agree with you, Tunde, this is a very touchy subject. It's very difficult. We're three cisgendered fucking heterosexual black men
black, though.
talking about this shit. Yeah. So we're a minority, so we can talk about that shit. But anyway, it's very difficult to be generating policy based on not even just a minority, but like a super minority. It's literally a point of a percentage of the population, not just and I understand when white people get upset of like, oh, y'all are changing policy for the 11% of black people in the United States, and we will champion that and say, yes, you should change stuff for us. But like, I think the inflection point that we're going to see is like, where do you draw that line of, okay, this group of people is important enough for us to take some action.
I mean, here's my issue with the whole gender thing. The
gender revolution.
I think it's great that people can identify how they want, but there's certain things where there's like biological differences that you can't avoid. I mean, I'm a biologist. I'm trained in very deeply in biology, and I believe it as the truth, the light, and the way. And there's very clear reasons why males are different from females, at least in the biological sense of things. And it's not just in humans. It's across literally every sexual organism that has been established. I mean, it's just the way it is. I didn't make it up. You didn't make it up. This is just the way we evolved.
Yes, you fucking did.
So this is how it is. Like, and so,
but yeah, we're talking about gender, though. We're not talking about sex.
No, but Tunde's talking about.
No, he made that up too.
Yes, gender is a social construct, just like race, though.
No,
but it also has biological backing.
Exactly, but I'm saying that. So there's the sexual thing, which is what I'm talking about, and then there's gender, which is how you're perceived in society and the roles you want to play or not play, and how you want to be identified. But that's the thing, is that you cannot use gender in the competitive setting. So when you're talking about the football team, the flag football team, there's biological females competing against a person that was born and biologically male who wants to identify as female. If you're going to be competing against that person, they have biological strength differences that we know that somebody who's gone through male puberty versus female puberty will have different amounts of strength, right? This is something that you can prove. You don't need to go and do any scientific research and say, yeah, the average male is stronger than the average female. Like, come on, it's absurd. Hey. So when you try to ignore those things and then say, no, they can all compete together, they have them in sprints together, these guys or former males are now competing against women who haven't had the same testosterone to build up all their muscles. Like, if you let all those ladies take testosterone from the age of 16 and then go and train, they'd probably be beating these dudes or former dudes, and however they want to.
Whoa, so problematic. But you're right, though.
We're definitely getting
it's me just being very off the cuff. But the former male, identified female, because I can't be like she. I can't say she because then it doesn't make any sense. Like who I'm talking about. So,
I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm just
Yeah, the former males can't now be competing against females when they've had the benefit of drugs, right? They've been performance enhancing. It's like a woman who had been taking testosterone for the last 10 years, right? Like, she's not going to be the same type of woman as somebody who's just fresh off of puberty. Like, she went through female puberty and developed in that way. So you can't let them be competing because there's innate advantages. They're doping.
So that becomes the line, right? That becomes the line of, is it discrimination to not allow them to compete? And as of right now, the answer is no. I think the Olympics have decided. Yeah, it's only the United States that's made that distinction. It's not I know the Olympic Committee makes up their own fucking rules, depending on who bribes them.
That could be it. It could just really just continue to escalate. And I don't even know if the Olympics would be like the inflection moment, like it could be any big thing, but yeah, I feel like the Olympics, as you were saying.
But that's the thing. Let's say, it gets to that level. We're speculating, right? The U.S. has allowed transgender women to participate in athletic sports. Okay, now you're the best in your thing. Okay, are we going to send you to the Olympics to compete against women of other countries? That is
the thing about the Olympics
point.
is that people are gonna. It brings out the most competition, the most competitiveness. In people.
All these niggas cheating.
Exactly.
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, and it's only up to you to get caught, unless you're Russia and it's government sanctioned cheating.
Yeah. Well,
yeah. Go ahead.
To me, I think the I will say this. I'm with you. Yeah, I'm glad that we can have the conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm of the mindset that if we start using certain types of language, like, using they or them as a pronoun for a single person is the way to go now. I'm like, fuck it. Let's figure it out together. You know what I'm saying? I don't like imposing language on people, but if people use it, then that's what it is. And a lot of people are using it. So, but my thing is that
language evolves too. You're right.
Right, exactly. Language certainly absolutely evolves. When you start impeding on the rights or the space or the influence that certain groups have already developed, you know what I'm saying? And this isn't exactly what's happening, but the fear is that there's not going to be any women winners anymore. There's not going to be any like dominant women, like this is an example that I've heard in podcasts, articles, whatever. Serena Williams smashes in women's tennis and everybody fucking loves her. Everybody thinks that she might be the greatest tennis player ever, man or woman. But at the end of the day, she can't compete with the top men.
She ain't beating no Novak.
She said it herself. She said it herself that she can't compete with the men. They're too strong. They're too fast.
Yeah, so, I mean, because there's reasons for this. This is not some shit that, I hate it when people try to say, there's nothing a woman can't do that a man can do. I'm like, yeah, you can do it, but you're not going to be able to be better than the best man because in certain things where it comes to being that are biologically coded, strength.
And the thing is that women have skills that men can't touch.
Exactly.
I would say, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, women have, in many senses, much better leadership and delegation skills than men do.
Yeah,
they're much more critical thinkers.
I think women are better multitaskers too. Like that's
Absolutely.
a purely cognitive skill, which is way better than anything you can do on the field, unless you're getting paid a lot of monay for it. But
I mean, unless you're LeBron, it's like one guy, but like lots of women can do this. So
right, exactly.
They can think better than men. So I'm saying, like, look, like, who gives a shit if you're like, they shouldn't. People should not be trying to compete in biological competitions and then changing their classification. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know how else to explain it. Like, there's biological. If you're going to compete in a physical sense, you have biological innate differences, and that's literally what makes one person better than another, even within the same sex, right, or the same gender. It's like a lot of it is not really because you worked harder than the other guy. Like, yeah, you may or may not. But a lot of it comes down to genetics. I mean, LeBron James probably isn't the only guy who works hard in the NBA.
Yeah, but Usain Bolt is still way faster than all them other niggas, even though they all trained hard as fuck.
Yes,
I definitely agree.
Like, he has some biological, genetic predispositions to be good at that particular thing, and that's the same thing with biological sex. And so, if you try to erase that and say just let them all do whatever. I mean, the biological women are going to be crushed because on average, it's not possible to compete in that way.
And that's my issue is when you start impeding on what they can accomplish, their influence, their sort of like sense of, success and worth. I think that's, very problematic. But we definitely went down the rabbit hole on that one. The point is that that's likely where the inflection point is going to be on the left. We're exchanging ideas. The insurrection, I think, sort of was a recalibration. Like, it was a bubble. Like the conspiracy wing of the right was in a bubble, and that was a bubble popping, and we'll see how things play out. But to your earlier point, Ahi, I think it's just like a storming period of group dynamics, and there's actually like a process of how groups form. There's like a number of levels.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so it's like forming, storming, norming, and performing, And I mean, to a certain extent, you can sort of extrapolate that upon just ideas, right? Like they eventually form, and then you have to storm through them, which I would say is the period that we're probably in with the right, with the Trump wing of the right. And then, what's the next one? norming, which would be sort of normalizing what's right and what's wrong. And I think this is what you were getting at, Ahi, that we throw the trash out is going to be a little bit of a process, right? It's going to be a little difficult. It's not going to be very, nice all the time. It's not going to be all that cute. But eventually, the last group stage of group dynamics when they form or whatever, I'm totally like obliterating this. I should be explaining this better, but do your Googles be... Anyway, the last one is performing, and that's when we actually deal with these ideas and these behaviors in a way that actually benefits humanity. So it's what we got to do. Although Herschel thinks that we're doomed.
Yeah,
I don't think we're that doomed. I think we're a little bit doomed, but I don't trust groups of people. I don't trust the group dynamic. Led to seek their own devices. We know smart people that have been caught up in all this shit. And even if you got a group of smart people together, they can make a stupid ass decision. So
absolutely,
that's just how I feel. But we can move on.
I will just say that the last thing is just that, Herschel, you're a little worried about society and our trajectory.
I am too a little bit.
I'm worried in the sense that there's going to be unnecessary suffering, but I think this is the way things are. This is the way they go.
Par for the course.
This is just life.
Thank God it's not violent anymore.
And
violence is different.
The changes aren't as violent as they were, and so at least in that sense, things are better.
Yeah. Let's talk about some shit that's
more
different.
Fun, lighthearted.
More fun. These are like hot and cold takes, hot-ish, cold-ish. Some shit that I just want to get off my chest right fast. Oh, yes. So to lead into this fucking Super Bowl weekend, first off, fuck Tom Brady. He's definitely taking PEDs. Hot take. You heard it here first. My man is 43 years old. He's taking same PEDs as LeBron. Get the fuck out of here. There's no fucking reason for you to be out here doing this. This man is out here fucking the portrait of Dorian Gray, anti-aging and shit. Fuck out of here. But basically,
we can't leave the Tom Brady thing that quick, man. So I just got to shout out my boy Fadi. He actually graduated from Emory, PhD.
Nice.
Hey, I tell him about you all the time, man. He got his degree in some kind of biology, man. I feel like y'all would have some great conversations. But I got to shout out Fadi. I watched the NFC Championship game with him, or maybe it was a game before. No, yeah, it was a game before the divisional round, whatever it's called. And he was just was it? Yeah, it was a game against it was a game against the Packers. It was a game against the Packers. And I was like going into the game pretty much assuming the Packers were going to take care of this.
Yeah.
And then Tom Brady's just cooking. And then I was like, yo, is Tom Brady the GOAT? And Fadi was like, yeah, bro. I was like, oh shit, Tom Brady's the GOAT. I'm just like, yo, Tom Brady is legit like I'm a Falcons fan. I'm blinded to all this shit. And I hate the Patriots. So now maybe I have like a little bit of a more clearer picture. But dude, he was cooking. He had a bad second half, but Tom Brady's a GOAT, guys.
Yeah, man. He's pretty damn good. He's pretty damn good.
Very sad.
I feel like if he wanted to get into coaching, he could. We might not see the end of Tom Brady, man.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, he probably just wants to win more Super Bowls.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure he
be
could.
A player coach, in his 50s.
He could be one of the greatest.
Player coach owner. The sky's the limit for this guy, man.
The guy is amazing. Even though he's, so the
probably
only
got Asperger's, just like Michael Burry. Need to pull one of his eyes out, see if he's still good at football. Fuck out of here, Tom Brady. Yeah, I got all the smoke.
I feel you. Herschel. Look, man. Like, I guess I like Tampa Tom a little bit better. Like, I don't have as much hate for him, but definitely I'm always down for the Tom Brady Patriots hate. I
hate the Tampa Bay one more than the Patriots one, just because now he's in the same division as the Falcons. He's making us look really bad.
Yep.
Like, man, I'm not trying to see that. Why couldn't you go to Denver, man, and just like do the Peyton Manning thing? Like, just be over there.
Anywhere else, man. Anywhere else would be great. But so for the Super Bowl, they're going to have 20,000 fans or some shit in attendance. And then they're going to have a whole bunch of blow up shit. Because basically this COVID shit is bullshit. They haven't been testing these niggas for the upcoming game. There's no way. Actually, I think I did see some super duper backups for the Chiefs were in close proximity. So maybe the NFL is doing something that they're supposed to be doing. But who the fuck knows?
They can't risk that shutting down the Super Bowl. That's a big moneymaker, bro. They pull it in like $3 billion.
Yo, if Tom Brady or Mahomes either gets it, it doesn't matter. They would still hold the game. They'd be like, yo, you just got to risk it all. Y'all can quarantine after. That's what they would say. But one thing I'm not excited for is any of these fucking Super Bowl commercials this year. Not at all. Whether they be about COVID or about last summer, it's going to be the same corporate bullshit that we were seeing all of last summer. Of like, oh yeah, we're in this together. You know, we care about Black Lives Mattering. The NFL has very conveniently swept all the concussion shit under the rug, even though my man Patrick Mahomes just had a concussion like a week ago. Goddamn.
It was pretty ugly too.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
couldn't even stand up.
Yes, all we're gonna see is hypocrisy from all these commercials and shit. I heard that fucking Robinhood, the company that was kind of behind some of the controversy over the GameStop stock, is gonna actually have a commercial. So I'm interested to see how bullshit that commercial is. Like, oh, we care about the little guy and all this, this. So why you stop the trades when niggas was trying to make money? What's up with that? What's going on here? And because you guys know, and I did have to do some reading on this. Robinhood is owned by this hedge fund or whatever called Melvin Capital. Melvin Capital is owned again by some other larger entity that basically runs the tech portion of Robinhood. And they are the ones who were like, oh, we're losing a lot of money. We should shut this down on the first day, on the Thursday or the 28th or 27th or whatever day, like shit was really like ticking off. They shut that shit down. They shut the Reddit site down. You couldn't comment on that particular fucking, Wall Street bets shit. So all that shit is definitely I don't know if insider trading is the right word, but there's some conspiracy shit going on. And they're gonna try to get manipulation. Yeah. Yes, thank you. Man. But yeah, they're gonna again try to get on the public's good graces, just like Wells Fargo tried to do after they scammed America multiple times.
Tunde, man. They scammed Tunde.
Yes, they got me too. They got my ass too. I feel you, Tunde. I feel you. I'm a part of that class action lawsuit.
I knew not to fuck with Wells Fargo, man. I'm a Bank of America dude all day. Shout out to Merrill Lynch.
I fucked up, man. I fucked up. I put my car loan in there, and they was taxing me, man. Every 6 months, they was like, "Oh yeah, here's an extra $800 that you owe us." Fuck out of here.
What?
They did it multiple times, bro. Multiple times. I had to call them and be like, "Yo, y'all are bullshitting. Take this shit off my account right now."
Damn.
Yeah, but
they're counting on people just like auto paying and just not paying attention.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what they were doing. I mean, that's what they were doing with the fake accounts, creating accounts. And if you weren't like looking at your shit, or let's say you're broke and you just don't check your shit that often, like that's how they come up. But I'm just not excited. I've just hated the wokeness of our corporations lately.
Yeah. Yo, they've never had like Black History Month commercials. Watch them pop off this year. Like it's been the Super Bowl's been in February. Since as far as I can remember, I don't know if I've seen, unless it was like, even though the NAACP probably isn't doing Super Bowl commercials, but if it was like not a like overtly Black oriented or diversity oriented organization, I don't think I've ever seen a Black History Month Super Bowl commercial. And watch them all come out the woodworks this year, man. So I'm with you, Herschel.
Yeah, the blackest shit was probably Beyonce's performance. When she was doing formation and all of this, and that,
people were mad about that.
Out there, yeah, they were mad about that. That's what I'm saying. This is America.
They talk about that shit for weeks. They talk about that
because they are haters, man. It's every couple of months, honestly.
Is Jay-Z like part of the Black Panthers? Is he going to kill all the white people?
Every 2 to 6 months, America does this shit where they're like, oh man, I mean, some bullshit happens, and then the left or whomever in America, whoever's fucking got blinders on is like, oh man, I can't believe this is America. This is not the America we live in. But it's the same goddamn America. Y'all doing the same shit over and over and over. Somebody else dies. Oh well, he shouldn't have resisted arrest. Or Karen in the park, or you name it. Like just over and over and over and over. So I can't imagine what's going to happen this time. It's going to be The Weeknd performing. He is probably going to crush that shit, so that'll be dope.
Dude, I'm excited for that.
It's going to be nobody else?
I think he's doing a solo.
Oh, I guess they can't do a whole big guests. Fucking production.
I don't think he's having guests, performers.
Oh, that's
yeah. They usually have like multiple people that perform like 2 or 3 bands or whatever.
And they always typically have a surprise performer.
Mm-hmm. I think apparently it's like all solo. I mean, maybe not. Maybe they just put it out there just to get people gassed up, surprise them.
Yeah. Yo, can we talk real quick about how, like, we actually don't really care about COVID in this country? You know what I'm saying?
Nah, hell no.
Like, first of all, I mean, I don't know what 20,000 people are like, but I mean, y'all, look, y'all don't really have to have anybody, you know what I'm saying? Especially the Super Bowl, like maybe regular home team games, the home team like has it figured out. But the Super Bowl is a whole different beast. But that's
the thing. They're lucky they're having it in Florida where you can have any kind of crowds in there. There are NFL teams now that are not letting any people in particular states. Like, let's say this game was in New York. They wouldn't let, or California. They wouldn't let people into the stadium. And that would be however many millions other dollars that the NFL wouldn't get. These franchises and shit. Bruh, at the beginning of COVID, we talked about how COVID is affecting sports and how the NFL particularly is going to try to finesse. And they did that shit. They got away with it.
I'm telling you, though, I feel like they're going to make even more money this year. The NFL, NFL is going to make more money this year off of Super Bowl. Yes, because I feel like the viewership is going to be much higher. This might be the highest rated Super Bowl of all time.
Wait, because of the players you're saying? Or
because of the pandemic, everybody's sitting at home, right? There's going to be so many eyes on the screen.
But normally during the Super Bowl, everybody is sitting at home. Like, it is one of those events where, especially when it's
going to be even more
big teams.
And and that's the only way these companies can reach people nowadays is through the TV, right? I think advertising space is at a premium. And so I feel like they're going to make a shit ton of money. I don't know. This is just my perception. I don't have any real information on it.
I have seen the ratings for the Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady NFC Championship game, and that was the highest since last year's Super Bowl. I don't remember what the millions were, and that peak is always super difficult to beat. It's always fucking, I don't know. There's always some underlying oh man, well this game was boring because it was just Derrick Henry running the ball for 2 hours or some shit like that. Last year's Super Bowl didn't have that. It was Mahomes going crazy. This year with the GOAT and the next GOAT, I do agree with you that this is probably going to be insane viewership. And I'm sure all the contracts have some kind of clause where it's like, all right, we get 300 million eyeballs on this bitch, and we're charging you a premium for this 30-second, stupid ass Tostitos commercial. You got the bullshit and TikTok dance for 30 seconds. Yeah. There's gonna be so many TikTok dances going on. People gonna
There's gonna be that one cholo dude for TikTok. You seen that cholo dude that be singing
with the Ocean Breeze
voiceovers? Yeah, dude, that dude is sick, man. I love that dude. And he was in the commercial with Snoop Dogg for TikTok.
Oh shit. All right, so are they going to do a busted challenge in the Super Bowl commercial? That's what I want to see.
The what challenge?
The busted challenge. Y'all ain't seen that?
What's the busted challenge?
It starts with the Nelly song. It's like, man, y'all just got to do your Googles, B. I can't describe it to you. It starts with somebody like kind of regular, they might be in the house not dressed up or whatever, and then it cuts to
is it the red filter joint?
Dressed up? No, but I guess you could put whatever filter on it. Man, I'm not well versed in this shit. Y'all haven't heard of this shit?
You haven't heard about the red filter one?
No. What's the red filter? I don't understand.
It's like
there's too many memes for me to keep up with, man. I'm still trying to get my diamond hands going.
The Buzz It Down challenge. I'm like, bro, you know how many hashtags I track on a weekly basis? Thousands.
These challenges are getting out of control, man. This shit is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I do have some who's mans for you guys before we get up out of here.
All right, hold on. I'm checking out this Busted Down challenge.
Okay. Yes, please.
I see why this became popular.
Yes, there are some particular people who you should who you should watch who hold on, I gotta find out the specific one.
Okay, well this looks like a challenge that has pretty much just reframed itself over several years now. It's the same challenge from 2016 but a different name.
All culture is cyclic. All this shit is coming back. Niggas gonna be planking again soon. Niggas was Jordan Woods. Watch, yeah. Trust and believe.
You have a point, man. You have a point. I will say I've started to really actually not started because I've talked about it on the podcast so much.
Oh, but I don't mind this busted challenge. I don't mind it.
Everybody on the internet is doing it. I'm sure you'll mind it after a few.
I thought they were all waiting for my approval.
Right.
I approve. It's like, yes, you're good to continue.
Yo, you got a couple who's fans, Herschel?
Yes. Okay. The first one, Atlanta rappers. What the fuck are y'all doing lately, man? There's been a string of just bullshit happening. And obviously we've had, in our past, a lot of shit. Since I guess, even prior to 21 Savage not being from Atlanta, being British and, G'day mate and all that shit like that. Ludacris got his car jacked. What the fuck are you doing? T.I. and Tiny out here drugging people and having threesomes and shit. What the fuck are y'all doing?
Bro, chill,
and my man Silento shot his cousin. Killed his cousin and was arrested for murder.
All of these verified? Okay, I know Luda's the Luda joint.
Also, YFN Lucci did some stupid shit and turned himself in recently too. They're out here going crazy. And then on the back of that, my man I'm sorry, I'm going too fast. We can break all of these down. Lil Uzi Vert got a fucking Infinity Stone in his forehead. That's definitely about to get snatched out by Thanos. The moment he closes his fucking
he'll probably
eyes,
get an infection.
He's about to die. He said he was like, "Yo, this shit's oozing and leaking and shit." I want to see whatever doctor did the cosmetic surgery to stick that shit in his cranium. And can you speak to the negative effects? Is it leaking into his brain?
Bro, fuck that nigga.
I mean, yes.
I don't want to see that. That's disgusting. I hate piercings. I hate all that kind of shit. So when I saw that, I was like, all right, next.
Didn't you hate all piercings, bro?
I don't like piercings, man. I don't think you need to be creating any more holes in your body than you came with.
Hey, man, there's a couple piercings that I like, man. Ain't gonna lie to you.
Yes.
All right. I feel like
so that one is obviously extreme. Obviously, that's a body augmentation. For the most part, I also agree that body augmentation.
Somebody gonna slap him clean across the face. It's just gonna fly out, bro. Like, come on.
I mean, he's basically a supervillain, man. Cartoon character in real life. You know?
I was never a fan of his in terms of his rap, so I really don't give a shit what he did. I didn't look into it. I've seen people with those piercings, the girls who put it in their backs and
epidurals
on the cheeks and shit. That's what they call epidurals.
I mean, it's not epidural. They're called dural implants. Dermal implants or some shit like that.
Yeah,
something
epidural is. I was like,
yeah, I know. I fucked it up.
Fucking anesthesia.
Dermal implants. Somebody had them our freshman year. Those two twins. I supported those.
The ones that ran track?
Nah, the ones that I'll tell you off the podcast.
They was busting it down?
not for me. Not for me. They used to argue. One was in a relationship with some other dude on our fucking freshman dorm, and I don't know if it was domestic abuse, but it used to just be yelling and just constant like bickering and shit. Y'all don't remember that shit? And they both had the shits.
And they used to hang out with that one chick that was like always pretty much drunk.
Asians?
Yes, that's correct.
Oh, the Asian ones. Oh, I know what you're talking about. And then the one Jewish chick that was
she was Jewish. Yeah, she was.
I don't know.
She was perpetually. She had like a Jewish last name. I don't know if she was Jewish, but I'm pretty sure she was celebrating Rosh Hashanah and all that stuff. She was telling me about it. So yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Hammered. She's Jewish. She was like pretty much. And I guess looking back on it now. Bro. Like you have to realize, I realize now that she probably had like an alcohol use disorder or some shit.
I think so. That's unfortunate, man. I think she was like an addict for real because she was perpetually drunk.
Yeah,
yo, it'd be like that,
man. I was just gonna say we definitely skirted like the line between like maximum fun without going over the deep end.
Yeah, alcoholism, DUI, death.
Yeah, because we like to talk about how crazy we were, but it was a lot of motherfuckers really actually doing some crazy shit.
Yeah, and they validated us. They validated our crazy shit. We would be doing wild shit and be like, "I'm not that wild."
Wow. And then they be bigging you up when they see you outside. Like, yo, it's like, all right, cool, man. They think I'm wilding out too, but I'm really not crazy. Like, yo.
Hell yeah. Yo,
I'm a sober up after this.
Yeah. It's like you staying drunk all week.
Now, okay, Herschel, what were you just about to say? Because I wanted to say some shit about T.I.
No, you got it.
I mean,
go ahead.
Look, we don't even know if some shit happened with them. Like, the allegations.
Is it too soon to tell?
It is too soon. There needs to be an investigation, as with all things these days. But but it's definitely fucked up, man. It's just like, what is going on with Atlanta rappers, man? Because I don't think
T.I. to live their lives. That's what.
I agree. I don't think T.I. necessarily did anything that you could prove in court, but I mean, he's probably been in some sticky situations, man. I mean, this dude has had a reality show with his wife, or I don't know if they're still doing it, but they were doing it, and it was pretty popular. And as far as I'm concerned, that environment is not conducive for butterflies and flowers.
Yeah, he's had the little scandal, quote unquote scandal, I guess, where he was talking about checking his daughter's hymen every year on her birthday, and like basically breaking HIPAA that was one of the things where he was like, yo, mom, I know men are dogs out here. I know how I was, so I'm gonna make sure my daughter is not out here with anybody. So he was like talking about it. I think on the show or maybe on Twitter or some shit like
though?
that.
Like, what's so special about her birthday?
Another year goes
disgusting.
by, like until she turns 18, or I don't know.
She could have smashed the day after her birthday, and he would have found out a year later.
All of it is,
Hey, you gotta do the notes, Herschel. We live in a meme culture.
Yeah, we live in a meme culture, bro. That's definitely a part of it. But I mean, I don't know why he was doing what he was doing. He's the one who said this. He said it in an interview or some shit. He was just talking and trying to sound cool of like, yo, I'm a dad who doesn't, it's no bullshit, type situation, which is another cultural or societal evolution that I think it has been dying out. Like, people are not or should not be intimidating sons coming over to interact with their daughters. I mean, you can give them the speech and whatever, but like, niggas should not be pulling out the strap or fucking, threatening them or their daughters about, like, you should be educating rather than try to put fear into people. That's the issue that I see. And my man T.I. was out here trying to do that at all of 4'11". So, it is what it is.
Yeah, man,
my next one though. Yeah, you would think that because he's been in trouble for all kind of other stupid shit too. But niggas don't learn. That's.
I thought the funniest part about his thing though, before you move on, I think the funniest part about his little speech, his little epilogue he had was he was like, he said, we ain't never drugged we have never trafficked nothing, and he was like, well, actually, human traffic.
He said, I was like, never trafficked nothing sexually,
yeah.
Which actually makes no fucking sense. But whatever, you got it, T.I. He said
because. He said, we never trafficked nothing. And you know what he said? And then
he said, we ain't never trafficked nothing. And then he said, well, sexually, we ain't trafficked nothing.
Yeah. I thought that shit was hilarious, man.
It definitely was hilarious, bro.
I was like, wait a second.
FBI
I thought you were selling drugs.
Definitely about to be, somebody knocking on the door, bro. You
drugs,
just can't do shit like that. All right,
the
next one, since we've been discussing this bullshit of like people getting locked up from the insurrection in the Capitol and shit. Yo, my man Kyle Rittenhouse, who killed 2 people, injured a 3rd person during the Kenosha fucking protests and shit. My man skipped bail. He's out here in the streets.
Is he a fugitive right now?
So I don't know. So they don't call him a fugitive in the news. That's the thing. And I don't know if it's because like the courts don't know his whereabouts, but he basically moved without informing the courts of where he is. But his lawyers and shit like that know and have been like responding like, oh yeah, he's in a safe house and this, that, and that, this. That's what I've at least read from like Milwaukee News and shit. So again, this dude killed somebody and then left the state, like crossed state lines to go there with the strap at 17 and then went back before he was ever even caught, walked off the scene after shooting multiple people. And now he's still pretty much out and about. And he looks like every other regular white dude.
I feel like, I wonder if they're going to charge him as an adult like they were doing to black people selling drugs and shit.
We shall see. We shall see. I have little confidence in the American justice system, but I think this one it will be open and shut case. I mean, it's got to be, right?
I mean, it's on video.
Definitely.
Bro, you ain't never heard of self-defense?
Yo, it's a lot of shit that's been on video. Yeah.
You ain't never seen self-defense, bro? Or you never seen the self-defense defense? The self-defense defense in the court of law?
Yeah.
That's what he's going to go with.
Yeah. They're going to be like, they rushed him.
Oh, you
even
mean
though he was the one with
shut.
the firearm.
Oh, okay. You mean open and shut and then he'll get off.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying open and shut.
Really? Y'all think he'll get off? Wow.
I am not confident in the United States justice system.
I mean, he broke laws to be there with a firearm. I mean, he's going to go to. Maybe they might not.
Yeah, but he's free right now, isn't he?
He's going to be convicted.
He's free right now, though, isn't he? I don't know.
I mean, he's a minor possession of a firearm. I mean, and everything escalates from there. He was out past curfew. There was all these things that he did.
I ain't never heard of anybody getting arrested on some curfew shit.
Anybody white people
getting arrested on curfew.
I don't know if that's true either, but you never heard about it. But they're arresting hella people out past curfew.
People want to see him get convicted for murder. And
right?
That's
like double murder. Yeah.
Well,
if it ain't murder, I don't give a fuck. But also, he's not a police officer, so maybe they will get him. The cops get off. Regular white people.
He committed crimes that are indisputable, no matter what the situation was. Right? Nobody forced him to go over there with a gun illegally. So
okay, but that also happened with fucking Zimmerman. Nobody forced him to go over there with a firearm.
Well, he was a neighborhood watch. He had a pretense.
Oh, see, all right. So we're moving the goalposts.
And he wasn't.
He had the pretense.
And he wasn't a minor crossing state lines. It's like,
Okay. All right. All right. You got me there. Okay.
Rittenhouse could definitely get convicted for that, but it's murder is what really matters.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, he may not get convicted of murder. Maybe something in the second degree of manslaughter, but
nothing.
All right. So the last thing that I have here for this meme society that we live in is people who write hit pieces. Now, we touched on it a little bit earlier, talking about Bernie and somebody writing some shit about like, oh, his mittens were appropriating his white privilege. You know, nobody else could dress down like that and be taken seriously.
Yeah.
But first off,
I'll just set the...
This nigga Bernie dresses like that all the time.
Exactly. Right. But yeah, there was an article written in the San Francisco Chronicle by a teacher who actually she made a couple, like 130K a couple years ago. Now her salary's like down to 60 some or whatever. I read this in another article from the Daily Mail, but she wrote an article pretty much putting a hit out on Bernie Sanders, saying that he was exhibiting white and male privilege because of what he was wearing. And this one is for you, Ahi, because you live in San Francisco, where she works and wrote the article in the San Francisco Chronicle. Ahi, get your womans off of Bernie Sanders.
Look, man, I don't know what this world is coming to. I told y'all about this. This is the other.
Is this the evolution?
Yeah, I mean, this is the other side of the people on the conservative side who are extremists. You know, the Proud Boys and all those crazy people who believe the conspiracy theories. I mean, I feel like it's the same kind of thing. This is like a conspiracy theory almost, where it's like anyone who doesn't 100% align with whatever ideas you have, they must have some sort of ulterior motive. They're trying to, take advantage of a system that you think is set up and very powerful to take over and, oppress people. It's like, yeah, white privilege exists and it's true. It's a big deal, but it's everything a white person does not become, is it white privilege? It's like everything, like I had the
Are you sure?
But it is though.
It kind of is though. It kind of is.
But it doesn't make any sense. It's like me, like I told you, I was like, sometimes I get mad at myself when I make mistakes. And then I'm like,
oh yeah, this was a great example.
Why you got to get mad at the one black guy in the room? Clearly you're a racist,
bruh.
Yeah, because I'm mad at myself, and I'm clearly the only black guy in here. So shit, man. Now I'm a fucking racist. So
yeah, you messed up because you're black. That's right.
He's one of those crazy black people who supports Trump and all that shit. Because clearly he's mad at himself and that he's a black guy. So why is it that one black guy in the room that he's mad at? I mean, it's fucking bullshit, man. This is how we do everything nowadays. Every little bit that somebody does, they twist it and say it's some sort of exposure of racism.
And that's it. That's the reactionary nature of our meme society. And if it doesn't make hilarious memes, it doesn't matter.
Everything is. I mean, because it dilutes the real instances of racism. So people who are not on the same page as you, who don't understand or who haven't experienced that side of society, they're going to be like, yo, this shit is crazy. Like, this is clearly not racism. This is what they're talking about? Oh, they're clearly bullshitting. I'm not riding with that. I'm not supporting any of that racism stuff. It's not real. Because it's very easy to reject that very extreme, very stupid example and then not actually do any real investigation to find out yourself what the real core of it is. Because on the surface, it's stupid, right? It seems very childish and petty. And they're not going to want to deal with it. And so I think it's doing a real disservice to the real progress that people are trying to make. Yeah.
Hey, you have a point. Hey, you have a point.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, hey, you have a point about the shit already happening, because years before the insurrection, there have been these instances of college students overrunning campuses. The situation at Evergreen State College or whatever, Evergreen College in Washington, I forget the name of it, with Brett Weinstein and his wife. Are you guys familiar with that one? And then there's been shit at UC Berkeley. With Milo Yiannopoulos, whatever the fuck his name is, was supposed to come, and they just like took over the school. It was like mayhem, So I mean, if you want to sort of have apples to apples comparison, I mean, it's not Capitol Hill, but universities are like really important institutions in our society, so
I also think it's really dangerous how we start to label a lot of these things. We talked about how like Republicans have been really good at co-opting terminology and shit, whether it's Trump taking away fake news. It used to be used against him, and now like he was doing it or whatever. But even I feel like almost the term Karen and how Democrats have been trying to like use stuff and build stuff, it all loses its impact. It waters down all these experiences when you just can easily call somebody complaining, some white lady complaining to a manager or whatever, Karen, when there might be like actual legitimate issues or shit like that happening. So I don't know how to solve this, because this is another evolution, I think, of our society, but it terrifies me a little bit.
Dude, me too. Seriously, Ehi has been saying it during the podcast, like, and I already told you, I think there's going to be an inflection point, and we can't predict it. That's the problem. We sure as hell couldn't have predicted the insurrection. What'd you say?
The pendulum swings hard, man. The pendulum swings hard, especially in a place like America.
Yeah, and the thing is that the same sort of radicalization we see on the right, you know, I want to say, I don't want to call it radicalization, but I actually do think it's radicalization is happening on the left too. You know, so we about to be in it. All
right, you guys trying to get radicalized? Let's do it. I'm gonna send y'all a little pamphlet. You know,
I learned a new word recently. It was ultraism. It's like radicalism, but it's kind of more extreme
to the max.
Damn.
Yeah, ultraism.
Okay.
I was like, holy shit, this is a good way to describe all the stuff that's going on right now.
Damn, we about to be.
Hey, didn't you tell us a while ago that you can't use chick anymore?
Man, yeah, there was this chick that was telling me that.
Whoa.
See, whoa.
I was talking to off of.
There was this woman.
Tinder. I mean, dude, this is like people being petty, man. Like, this isn't like what? Just because somebody says chick doesn't mean that they hate women. Like,
yeah. Well,
do you call
like they don't know? Like,
am I problematic for calling women dudes and guys, especially at work and emails? I'll just be like, hey guys, and is that problematic? Is that a problem?
It fucking is a problem. Herschel, goddamn it.
I might have to be
I don't know, man.
Sorry.
I just like there's no intent. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, people. I don't even want to get into it. Whatever. Just go to the next topic.
I can't even lie to you. I have felt some kind of way about. I have seen people posting group me's, and it's like one of these mass group me's. So, you know, it's a bunch of scallywags in the group me. But no, somebody like would like start texting and say like, "Hey guys, some," and then they would take back their comment and say, "Oh, sorry, I don't like using gender-natured language or something like that." Like specifically with guys, I was just like, "We're done. We're done as a society. It's over for us." And now, when I'm in class doing Zoom meetings, I get nervous about saying, "Hey guys."
People need to be like. Do either of you guys speak Spanish or at least took Spanish?
Sí. Yo hablo español.
Yeah. In Spanish, like the plural
everything
for a lot
gendered.
of it's everything is gendered. But when you talk about groups, like you want to say they, it's always the male plural, right?
But isn't that problematic though?
If it's all women, it becomes female. But still, yeah, I feel you.
Well, yeah. I mean, if there's a mixture of people, yeah. I mean, obviously, you wouldn't call it a female soccer team. It's like, hey, dudes.
Jugadoras.
You know, you would, yeah, exactly. Like you would say that, but yeah. So and I don't think that in Spanish they're like, oh, now we need to, you know, anybody who says that is now a sexist. You know, I don't think so.
Yes, it is.
Yes, that's the thing. These languages, these old fucking romantic languages that have been like, you know, for millennia steeped in gender. They've been gendered. Like, what do? You can't remove that. I know Latinx is becoming a term, but like they're not changing the words that they are using. I don't know how. I mean, there is a they in Spanish, but like, I mean, I don't know how to use that. I mean, hardly,
ellos,
you know, navigate in
they, right?
Yeah. But it's still technically masculine, right?
Even though there's
so I don't know
for females only.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
It's a mix. This ellos, right? So.
Right. So I mean, we have difficulty navigating this shit in English. How the fuck?
But isn't that problematic?
You know, we're not qualified to talk about it.
So is it problematic?
Seriously, if you already default to the male version of the language, the entire language is steeped in this male.
Yeah, I mean, biologically, it makes sense to default to female because that's the default outcome is to be.
That's true.
Female.
That's a good point. In my eyes, I think it's like, you know, everything is male, and then you exclusively label women with the label like Latina because they're exclusive. You know, that's one positive way.
It could be a term of endearment. Yeah, right. Exactly. Everything that could be negative.
Yeah, it's like you can call like, you know, like if something is Latino, it's like a Latino restaurant or a Latino neighborhood, because all the neighborhoods or whatever is just men, and men or whatever too. But when you specifically want to talk, like that's the only time you use Latina is when you're talking about a woman because they're endeared, they're special, you know. But who's gonna think of it that way? Not a bunch of fucking Twitter trolls.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
I feel you, man. I feel you.
That's a great point, Tunde. I mean, it doesn't have to be negative. It's all perceptive, right? Like I said, like I also said on the fucking group chat, you know, when people assume that I'm athletic, I'm not going to use that as like, oh, I'm insulted. Like, how could you? Because it's good in society to be athletic. I never heard of a situation where it was bad to be athletic, or when like
because they might assume you're not smart. There is that.
No, it does not have to be that way. You could be both athletic and. I never heard a single situation where it's like because you're athletic, then you obviously are like you can only have one. I've never heard of that.
It's a myopic viewpoint, right? But like people have myopic viewpoints. Like everybody. I mean, this is a mob mentality thing again.
I don't think large groups of people have a group people is
dumb.
Yeah,
but you're one person. You are one person.
Do you believe that, Herschel? That if you're athletic,
do you believe that? Okay, let's think about it as groups of people. Do you think that on average, all NFL players are smarter or dumber than all NBA players?
I don't know.
All right, they're different athleticisms, right? They're different sports, they're different things.
They're both the same athleticism.
Okay, so are all I can't get a good example of this because I want to be like, oh, all doctors versus all NFL players, but that doesn't work because doctors have to be super smart. I'm trying to think of a profession where like it's not super like immediately.
Well, I mean, think about it like this. Like, let's think about it like this compared to the average, right? So if you take the average NFL player, do you think they're dumber or smarter than the average general human being, right? And I would say they're probably the same. Right? If not, maybe more because of the amount of focus and dedication and actual skill it takes to be a professional player. You actually have to be pretty fucking smart to understand a lot of these complex things.
Great point.
And so for me, like being an athlete, being a successful athlete probably means that you're pretty smart at a lot of different things. Right. And you're definitely not dumber than the average person because otherwise you couldn't make it. Now, if you're maybe like, you know, some guy in high school who's failing all his classes and then he plays ball, like, and you have like quantifiable evidence that the thing is dumb, then yeah, you can say this dude is dumb. But you can't just say across the board, like, oh, because I know one dude, he was dumb in school, he plays sports, and everybody else who plays sports is dumb. You know,
I feel you, but it's so much easier to just blanket statement and just across the board make those generalizations. It's just easy. And that's what people do. That's what I'm saying. Man. That's what society does. That's the evolution that needs to change. I agree with you that like you have the advanced thinking to do that, but
that's maybe you're right. I mean, maybe it's just me. I mean,
we hear it in announcers. We hear how the announcers talk about people. We've heard it in the fucking most recent UFC announcements and shit, or announcers and shit, where they're talking, describing different fights. And I was watching with my fiance, and it happened to be a women's fight, and somebody was like, the announcers over and over and over were like, "Oh man, she just threw a beautiful knee," and "Oh man, these are beautiful strikes," over and over. And my fiance was like, "Yo, that's kind of problematic. Why are they calling the women's knees and strikes and shit like that beautiful?" But I didn't hear it when the men were fighting, and I was like, wow, you're right. Wow, really? I wasn't even in tune to this
I heard Joe Rogan say that stuff about men's.
I mean, Joe Rogan is great. Joe Rogan wasn't particularly doing this fight, but this was just an observation, and it's also a small sample size. This was just the one particular instance.
See, here's another way of looking at it again. Maybe it is beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's just beautiful, and the men are not. You know, because I mean, I would say the women's fight is a little different because you're not really going to get a knockout, you know? I mean, and they're smaller frames. They're really fighters. Men can just kind of turn into a brawl sometimes. So again, there's a lot of perspective.
That's what people say about like the WNBA is that they're fundamentally some of the most beautiful basketball you can see not because they're women, but because, you know, they're not jumping out the gym because biologically it's probably less likely, but because they focus on the fundamentals. They're actually really crisp basketball players. Like they get the plays right. They get all the moves right. They're technically sound. And so from that sense, I mean, like, it's the same thing as soccer. Like, people watch female soccer and they really enjoy it because of the technical skills. Sometimes guys don't even really have the skills. They just be physically just dominant and they just bulldoze their way through stuff. And if you're more dominant than most other people, you could crush it at that sport. So, I mean, yeah, man, I think, people, they make up their own perceptions of things. And I think a lot of times they want to see the negative.
Right. That is pretty much brings it back to the earlier conversation that the internet is really helping us exchange perceptions and ideas. And we're going to have to weed out the bullshit. But for the time period while we're in the storming phase, shit's going to be ugly. And
I feel you. You heard it here first. Weed out the bullshit.
Society is storming.
I like it.
I mean, I would say it's mostly in the political sphere, but I guess any exchange of ideas because of the internet. But the politics really are flames. Anyway, what we got some final takes?
That's all I got. What do you guys got?
Let me see. Let me look at the notes.
Why
I think Coming to America 2 is going to be trash.
With oozy, like oozy.
Because that man's fucking forehead was oozing out. You didn't see the picture? That shit was disgusting. He put that shit on Instagram. I was like, whoa. I did not throw up. Looked like Kool-Aid coming out his forehead, man. This shit was really bad.
Oh, God.
It's a pretty diamond. It's a pretty pink, like $24 million diamond he's been paying for since like 2017 or some shit. But like, it looks dangerous. It looks dangerous. That's all.
All right.
It makes me uncomfortable.
It really does. I saw the bleeding out shit, and I'm just like, I feel like he's infected. And it's so unnecessary.
Off-center?
Yeah, his head is gonna swell up like Megamind. Yeah, it's gonna. Yeah,
but he said when it swells, when the swelling comes down, it'll be center.
Oh my God!
Okay.
Oh my God!
Yo, hey, look, we've seen some crazy shit in the hip hop game recently, man. And Herschel, you brought it up a little bit with ATL rappers, and maybe people are like really starting to like lose it because of the pandemic. But
well, he's been doing this since 2017, dude. This is not new. He had this master plan. He's had this master plan for like 4 years.
This is true. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I do want to see what the next evolution is like, because I do like that, rappers and shit have been pushing the envelope. Lil Wayne came out with the super skinny jeans, and now everybody has skinny jeans. So and face tattoos, everything, every little element of this getting pushed forward. So I am excited for, Future putting like legitimate diamonds in his fucking cereal or some shit like that. I don't know.
Yeah, man.
I'm sure he's got a line about shit and diamonds.
The evolution of rap, even just thinking about how rap has come along, and now you have all these mumble rappers. I'm like, I don't know if I told y'all this, but it's like the art phases back in the day where you had like the very, hyper realistic art. And then they went into like the impressionism phase where niggas is just drawing stuff with dots. And like everything looks all like somebody got slapped across the face before they had to draw.
Pablo Picasso blew up a plane. That shit was crazy.
Exactly. No, but he has a mural when there was like a bombing and shit. Y'all seen that big ass mural next to
yeah. See, it was connected. It was connected, man.
I don't know who listens to the podcast this long, but shout out to you.
For real. Shout out to you.
I had to save Tunde on that.
Nah, good stuff, man.
Yo, all right, one final take, man. I know this is going to sound crazy, but I believe it. I truly believe it. But let Trump back on Twitter. Please. Not because of entertainment, but because that is the only way that we can get into his mind. And if you think that Trump is just going to lay down politically, especially when you got people in Congress who were of the conspiracy wing, Trump supporters.
So how do you regulate it if he's fucking inciting violence?
Bruh, see, this is the thing. Twitter needs to figure it out. I don't know. I don't run Twitter.
This is Twitter's solution. This is Twitter's solution.
You're a company. You're supposed to innovate. You're supposed to figure shit out, right? Like, why can't they make it so that every tweet that he makes is put in a holding pattern and is reviewed? I mean, they already started labeling tweets. You know what I'm saying? Like, this whole idea that you just got the only solution is to kick him off indefinitely, forever, whatever they want to call it, is a cop out. He violated the terms of use. It's a cop out. None of these companies are not addressing.
He violated the terms of use.
What'd you say?
He violated the terms of use.
Okay, well, I mean, it is the ex-president of the United States. I think,
he should be able to violate.
Oh, he's allowed to, he's above the law? That's what you're saying today?
He's above Twitter. He's above Twitter. Yes.
Nah, see, that's a slippery slope right there. I don't like that at all.
Well, let him find his own medium then. to disseminate his ideas. You know, back in the day,
they're not silencing
presidents
him.
Were writing these letters and posting them in the newspaper or whatever the fuck.
He can still get in front of a camera.
Houses. Hey, let him go ahead and do that.
Do you live in a meme society? Who gives a fuck about a letter? Who gives a fuck about an interview? I remember Franklin Roosevelt used to do the fireside chats. Was it Franklin or Theodore? Whichever one. Who gives a fuck about a fireside chat? Tweets, memes, more memes. Now, but for real, I'm just like, I don't see what sense it makes to kick him off. If he's doing things now, okay, now,
what are you talking about today?
If he's inciting violence regularly, I believe he incited violence. I do believe that. You know.
So why are you against him being kicked off?
Because he's clearly a volatile person. I would prefer to have a direct line to his mind and his thoughts and whatever ideas he's conjuring in the Trump base than to not. And it's obvious.
But you're missing the fact that his ability to rile up all this nonsense that he's doing and all the issues that are going on that side of the political spectrum is because he has the ability to tweet. And he had the ability to call a press conference at any time of the day and just go and spill some shit out to the population. You know, once you take that away from him,
Trump wasn't a singular entity making that happen. If Twitter didn't have the environment where that could happen,
but he validates it, and then people who are on the fringe, so there's the fringe crazies, and then there's the people.
But you act like
the middle society who are on fringe, you know, that are next to the fringe. They're fringe adjacent. Those are the people that you need to protect. And they're the ones that are going to see that the president's supporting it and then believe it, even though they wouldn't have normally believed it. I feel like there's way more people fringe adjacent that were being turned over by Trump because of his access.
I agree with you. But the thing is that Trump is not the new entity. This has happened all in society. There's always been people who could convince the fringe and the fringe adjacent to do some crazy shit. You know what I'm saying? It's on a way crazier mass scale, but not even really because it wasn't that many people at the Capitol. You know, it wasn't like people trying to actually take over and, you know, claim war upon the United States, right? It wasn't that level of insurrection, although it wasn't insurrection. But what I'm saying is that the people nor Trump are new entities. Twitter and Facebook and others are the new entity. And they are responsible for regulating the bullshit. If their solution is to just kick Trump off Twitter, that's a cop-out.
I don't know if that's true, man. That doesn't make sense. I mean, it's the same reason why you could put somebody in jail. It's like it's a cop-out for the FBI to not just let this dude keep killing people. Like, no, you have to put them in,
because it's not a public forum, bro. It's not a public forum. Like, it looks like a public forum. We think of it as a public forum because that's how we kind of perceive it. But it is a private business, right? That's how they also kicked him off all the other shit too.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not disagreeing with y'all totally, but I just don't think that his silence, specifically on Twitter, because we know this is special for Trump. In my estimation, it is a window into his mind, which I would prefer.
Why do you care about what he thinks?
Because he's clearly capable of doing destructive things.
But he's not the president anymore. He can't do. He
became president, didn't he? He was doing this shit long before he became president.
Yeah,
but a lot of people enabled him to become president. What Trump was doing wasn't just him.
Was juicing up shit. Like, that's what his MO was. He's an opportunist. He will look in the population. He'll look out there on Twitter, whatever he feels like he can be able to use to pivot and expand his notoriety. He'll do it. Right. And so if you let him, how he did it was via Twitter, via the internet. If you cut him out of there, a lot of his reach is gone.
Okay. I mean, look, again, I'm not disagreeing with you because Twitter, Facebook, all of these are new entities that hyper drives like the conspiracy and the dissemination of bullshit information. But again, for Twitter, it's a cop out. And another entity that it's a cop out for is the Republican Party. They let Trump run up on them and win the primaries and caucuses before he won the seat for the Republican Party or whatever they call it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they've also allowed racist ideas and racist ideologies that corral this base to propagate over decades. They have not rooted out. Like, look, as far as I'm concerned, we're black people growing up Republicans are racist. That's what it is. And it's not the Republican Party's racist in and of itself, but the people that are in it are racist. That is something that Republicans have not dealt with at all. And they have an opportunity to deal with it with Trump. They're dropping the ball so far. It depends on, we'll see how things go with impeachment. But look, you're acting as if this is new for anyone to disseminate bullshit ideas. Rudy Giuliani still got a Twitter, don't he? You know, like,
nah, bro. So I think an issue with putting him back into the public spotlight or just giving him another platform is that the same thing that happened last time, where like whenever he was doing some bullshit and making the news, and the same thing is basically happening with Marjorie Taylor Greene now, where he says some wild shit and it's negative and toxic, and we all pretty much agree, yeah, this is bullshit, it's wild, but he gets the positive press that in overall it's a net positive, right? Not no news is good news, but like any press is good press. All press is good press, right? And that's basically what you're giving him. That's how he built up the money. That's how, that's my fear of what might be happening with Marjorie Taylor Greene if, again, the Republican Party doesn't root out the racism and shit like that. Because she'll definitely make a play. She's already gaining support and shit like that. So you can't root out your core, because that is pretty much part of the core of the Republicans right now. Pitting, racist white people, poor white people against minorities. They took our jobs.
Yeah. Well, here's another entity that has completely dropped the ball. And when I'm talking about Twitter, the social media atmosphere, and then the Republican Party, I'm talking about that they have completely failed. It's not like, they need to step their game up a little bit. No, they're completely dropping the ball. And the other entity is the media. I mean, news reports are talking about how CNN was down like 40-something% the day after inauguration. And okay, perhaps inauguration boosted their ratings that day, but they've been riding the Trump wave for years, and they have cultivated a media atmosphere that allows him to look. I don't follow Trump's Twitter. How am I always seeing his tweets? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't log on to his Twitter to see his tweets, but somehow I've seen literally thousands probably on the fucking news. So, I mean, look, I think that everything we're all saying is correct, but the idea that because Trump is tweeting, it's dangerous. Oh my gosh, it's dangerous. It's going to put the nation in danger. And yes, for the period of time on January 6th and leading up to it, he certainly did endanger the nation. But the idea that he himself, because of his Twitter fingers, did it is not the case. It's because of Twitter. It's because of the media. It's because of the Republican Party and a bunch of other bullshit. And I'm just going to head and put it on the left as well, because they're full of shit too.
Yeah, niggas full of shit. Society, this meme society is full of shit.
That's kind of the issue.
Niggas full of shit, man. That's a great final comment.
That pretty much wraps it up for me.
Well, that was a great podcast, man. We just came in and just firing off, man. Freaking undercutting and overcutting each other, but that's hot conversation.
It's a discussion,
right,
man.
Exactly.
Yeah,
anyway,
stuff, guys.
Real Talk Beyond the Headlines. RTBTH. We out.
Peace.
Peace.